Hello and welcome to another session of Groundbreakers Live. I'm your host Javed Mohammed, and I'm very honored to have with us Dietmar Aust. And Dietmar is an Oracle ACE alumnus. So Dietmar, welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Javed. Nice to talk to you.
Likewise. So we're just going to get right into it. How did you become involved with Apex?
Well, I started actually as a consultant at Oracle right after my master's degree in computer science. And I dug into pure SQL coding, forms, reports, that kind of stuff, moved towards web development using WebDB, which later became Portal, application servers. And I did a lot of custom coding based on the OWA toolkit directly, which is still like the underpinning of Apex at the low level, which just adds a very powerful declarative framework on top of that, where the Apex team does all the heavy lifting with styles, CSS, JavaScript, and so they give us all that for free. But in the beginning, I did a lot of custom coding. And after a while, although I liked many of the concepts of Portal and application server, I was still struggling with a lot of bugs, and it didn't behave. I couldn't really focus on the value I want to deliver to my clients, which were already, since coming from Oracle, the top companies in Germany. And so I took a few months off to basically reorient myself and figure out what technology I would really love and enjoy working with and really deliver value for my clients. Okay. And so, as I said, I took a few months off and dug around, looked into Java and everything. And in the end, I came back and found HTMLDB. And it was really love at first sight. So I was so excited about it because it took my knowledge of the OWA toolkit and put that powerful layer on top of it, and it just worked, right? You could immediately see it was a tool built by developers for developers. And from then on, I was hooked, and I built only Apex applications. And so I basically said no to everything else.
Wow.
And, yeah, that was awesome. Good decision.
Okay, good call. So you probably developed many applications along the way. Is this, and I know it's always hard to pick one, but is there one that you are really passionate about that you feel very proud of?
Right. So you're right. There are so many, and you can so many things in a very short time frame, build beautiful, secure, high-performant applications without knowing too much about it, the design and stuff. But I would like to focus on the application I've built for the German telecom shops. It's called Spots. And so basically the German telecom shops have like 800 shops in Germany. And it's basically like the central database for everything related to shops. So the address, which needs to be validated against the web servers, so the address is correct. You have map information, also information about the competition and how interesting that area is for putting a shop there. You have lots of processes with workflows that surround the whole shop, like an opening process, a closing process, and also like a renovating and stuff like that. We have information about the paying rent and cleaning the whole thing. So there is, over the years, we have built stuff on top, and on top. So we've been building this application now for 13 years. Wow. And continually growing and evolving that. And so we are not a huge team. We are with 3 people, but still it has become a quite large and complex application. We have upgraded that and also moved to the new universal theme, implemented accessibility, did a security review and implemented all those kind of things. Apex is really fun. And mostly used for opportunistic applications, but it's not a toy. right? So I did study computer science, and I can say it's a very powerful fourth generation language, which has really strong components with a lot of switches so that you can implement whatever you need very fast.
Great.
Right? And so I love it.
Right. So you probably develop like many kind of best practices along the way for people who are like new to Apex. Is there anything you want to share?
Oh, sure. There are a number of things. I mean, too many that I can list them all.
Yeah, you don't have to list them all.
So it's really learn Apex and then negotiate the requirements. That's the first thing. Meaning, there are so many powerful components, switches. You can have so many things out of the box that are already there if you know where they are and how to use them, right? So really dig deep into that. And once you understand what is easy to implement and what not, and with a slight change of requirement, which you can negotiate with the customer, you can take the easy route, which also leads to a high maintainability. It's faster to implement, and it will be safe during the next upgrade for the next Apex release. So I can only highly recommend that. Another thing is certainly doing quick iterations together with the client, right? So first implement the look and feel, and then so that they see themselves, use their language, but do quick iterations and bring the customer on board. This way you can totally make sure that you implement the requirements that they actually need and that you have understood the problem properly. And also by doing it this way, you can get the customer on board so that for the few business users you work with directly, it becomes their application. So they will start selling it internally in the organization, which is a huge benefit. In the end, it's all about trust. So make sure you keep your promises. And that's a lot easier with Apex because you don't have so many issues. It's really fast, and you can implement things very fast, but still make sure that you, so basically under promise and over deliver. That's always something I like to live by.
Okay, awesome.
The last thing is really the community, right? Get engaged in the community. You have so many people putting out free resources. Apex.world is a great resource. The Oracle forums. And in the beginning, I started to answer, I think, over 1,000 questions in the forums. It was a really exciting time because the Apex development team was there and still is. They always have an open ear to your troubles and want to help. But also at the same time, there were so many people coming up and engaging, and we were actually fighting like who's first in answering the question correctly. And by doing it this way, you understand all the different features of the application, you understand who is trying to implement what, and then you get to the point where you actually hit the problem. And it might take only 5 minutes or 4 hours to rebuild that scenario, but it teaches you so much. So dive in there and have fun.
Okay, well, thank you so much. That's a very kind of a comprehensive view of not only things directly related to Apex, but even just good business practices.
Right.
What about any things to avoid?
Yes, especially when you ask questions in the forum, do your due diligence first. I mean, people are really willing to help you if you say, okay, this is the exact problem I face, perhaps an error message, whatever screenshot, and you say, okay, I've tried this, this, and this, and it doesn't work. Please help. Sometimes people come there and say, well, it's broken, please fix it for me, right? So that is important when interacting with the colleagues. But one thing that I would really try to avoid is doing too much custom coding, especially against internal APIs. So often people find code on the internet, just do copy paste, but don't really understand what's going on. And once you add more and more stuff using the internal APIs, it might break during the next upgrade. So make sure you document your workarounds and where to find the code and which problems you actually fix with that. Perhaps it has been solved by the next release to take it out in a good fashion.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for sharing. So I have one non-Apex related question. When we started off camera, you mentioned that you live around the Cologne area. So if someone's ever happens to be visiting Germany and the Cologne area, is there, I'm sure there's many things to do, many foods to try, but if there's one experience someone should have when they're visiting there, what would that be?
Well, I think the dome in Cologne is always a wonderful experience to see, and then enjoy the local food as always. So whenever you go to a different place, eat what's custom there. It's always a good choice.
All right. Well, Dietmar, it's been a real pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome. Thank you.